Long before the neon lights, giant billboards, and endless crowds took over the heart of New York City, this place was something entirely different. No traffic, no skyscrapers, no glowing screens lighting up the night sky. Only forests, dirt paths, streams of rainwater flowing through untouched soil, and the sound of wind moving through ancient trees. More than 2,000 years ago, the Lenape people walked these lands, hunting, trading, and building small communities across the island they called Manhattan, the land of many hills. For generations, nature ruled here in perfect balance. Then, slowly, strangers arrived from across the ocean. At first, they came with ships, trade goods, and curiosity. But over time, trade became settlement, and settlement became conquest. Forests began to disappear, dirt trails widened into roads, wooden homes replaced tribal camps, smoke from campfires gave way to smoke from chimneys. What you are about to witness is not just the evolution of a street, but the transformation of human civilization itself. From wilderness to one of the most recognizable places on Earth, this is the complete time-lapse evolution of Times Square, New York. As the first European settlers expanded deeper into Manhattan during the 1600s, the peaceful forests slowly gave way to muddy colonial roads and small wooden structures. Dutch settlers established New Amsterdam, building farms, taverns, trading posts, and narrow streets through the wilderness. Horses and carts carried supplies across rough dirt roads, while native communities slowly vanished from the area. Tension and conflict spread as European expansion accelerated. By the late 1600s, British control transformed New Amsterdam into New York, and the settlement began growing faster than anyone could have imagined. Through the 1700s, the area remained mostly rural compared to modern New York. Small farms, wooden houses, fences, wells, and open land surrounded the developing city. But change was coming rapidly. Immigrants from across Europe flooded into Manhattan searching for opportunity. Roads improved, trade expanded, businesses multiplied. The sounds of axes cutting trees and blacksmith hammers filled the air. As the Industrial Revolution approached during the 1800s, the transformation accelerated dramatically. Dirt roads became wider and more organized. Brick buildings replaced wooden homes. Horse-drawn carriages crowded the streets. Gas lamps illuminated the city at night for the first time in history. Steam power reshaped transportation and construction. Manhattan was no longer a distant colonial settlement. It was becoming the economic center of America. By the mid-1800s, the pace of development became almost unstoppable. New apartment buildings rose higher every decade. Immigrant communities from around the world brought new cultures, languages, restaurants, and businesses into the growing city. The streets became louder, denser, and more chaotic. Horses pulled streetcars through crowded avenues while workers constructed larger roads and stronger infrastructure. Then came one of the greatest technological revolutions in human history: electricity. As electric lights appeared across New York in the late 1800s, the city began glowing after sunset like never before. Suddenly, the night itself was transformed. Theaters, advertisements, hotels, and entertainment venues expanded rapidly around this district. Broadway performances attracted enormous crowds. Bright signs competed for attention across building walls. The future had arrived. In 1904, the New York Times moved its headquarters into the area, and from that moment forward, this district would become known as Times Square. Electric streetcars moved through crowded roads while early automobiles slowly appeared among the horse traffic. Massive theater signs, flashing lights, and giant advertisements covered entire buildings. The world was entering the modern age. During the 1910s and 1920s, Times Square exploded into one of the busiest entertainment centers on Earth. Jazz music filled the streets. Luxury theaters opened across the avenue. Crowds packed sidewalks day and night. New skyscrapers rose higher above the city every year, transforming the skyline into a symbol of ambition and power. But history was not always kind. World wars cast shadows across the glowing streets. Soldiers marched through Manhattan. Propaganda posters covered buildings. Economic hardship arrived during the Great Depression, and millions struggled to survive. Yet, even during difficult times, Times Square never truly stopped moving. The city adapted, rebuilt, and continued growing. By the 1950s and 1960s, Times Square had become one of the most famous locations in the world. Neon lights dominated the streets. Massive advertisements glowed through the night. Yellow taxis, crowded sidewalks, movie theaters, diners, and endless traffic created a city unlike anything humanity had ever seen before. Tourists from around the globe arrived here searching for the energy and excitement of New York City. But beneath the bright lights, problems were growing. During the 1970s and early 1980s, crime, economic decline, and urban decay pushed Times Square into one of its darkest periods. Many businesses closed, streets became dirtier and more dangerous. Some theaters disappeared, buildings aged and deteriorated. The glowing center of New York seemed to be fading. Yet another transformation was about to begin. During the 1990s, enormous redevelopment projects reshaped Times Square once again. Old buildings were restored. New corporations invested billions into the district. Giant digital billboards replaced traditional neon signs. Family tourism returned. Entertainment brands opened massive flagship stores across the avenue. The entire square became brighter, louder, and more technologically advanced than ever before. Then came the new millennium. Millions gathered here to celebrate the year 2000 as giant screens illuminated the night sky. The famous New Year's Eve ball drop became a global symbol watched by people across the planet. By the 2000s, Times Square evolved into the digital heart of modern advertising. Towering LED displays transformed entire skyscrapers into moving walls of light. Superhero films, fashion brands, streaming platforms, and global corporations competed for attention every second of the day. At night, the streets looked almost unreal, as if the city itself had become a living screen. Then, suddenly, something unimaginable happened. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Times Square fell silent once again. Empty streets replaced massive crowds. Traffic vanished. The city that never sleeps stood still for one of the first times in modern history. For a brief moment, the silence of ancient Manhattan seemed to return. But like every era before it, the city adapted and survived. Crowds slowly returned. Screens grew even larger. Technology became more immersive. Today, Times Square stands as one of the most recognizable places on Earth, a symbol of entertainment, technology, ambition, capitalism, tourism, and human progress itself. Beneath these glowing towers lies thousands of years of forgotten history, forests buried beneath concrete, dirt trails hidden under asphalt, and generations of lives erased by time. Yet somehow, every era still exists here, layered beneath the lights of the modern city. And as humanity continues moving toward an uncertain future filled with artificial intelligence, digital realities, and towering new technologies, one thing remains certain: the story of Times Square is far from over.